East Asia's Sunday, Republic of Korea, or the People. This is a country located in East Asia, on the northern half of the Korean peninsula, separated from the Republic of Korea in the south. Although North Korea currently maintains diplomatic relations with 164 independent countries, this land is one of the most difficult places to access in the world due to its closed-door policy and travel restrictions. People often only know North Korea as a country that worships its leader like a god. A country that dislikes engaging with the international community but frequently tests missiles, startling the entire world. Yet often forgetting that this is also a country with a rich history, many cultural heritages, and unique architecture. It also possesses majestic sacred mountains and impressive natural landscapes. Much more interesting information, so let. Currently, North Korea is always considered a poor and backward country. With a 2020 GDP of only $27.8 billion and a per capita GDP of $1,062 US. However, few know that this was once one of the richest countries in the world. Right after the Korean War, from 1950 to 1953, North Korea's economy recovered and developed rapidly. Specifically, Kim Il-sung implemented the 5-year National Economic Plan, creating a centralized economy. With all industries being state-owned and all agriculture collectivized. The country was formed based on the principle of egalitarianism and an economy based on the needs of workers, along with intellectuals. The economy focused on heavy industry and weapons production. In the early years, North Korea's average economic growth rate was 25% per year. By the late 1960s, all rural areas in North Korea had electricity. In Vietnam, as late as 2021, 0.46% of households still lacked national electricity, mainly in mountainous areas. By the early 1980s, 70% of cultivated land in North Korea was irrigated, 90% of planting activities and 70% of harvesting were mechanized. In 1984, total grain output reached 10 million tons, sufficient for domestic needs and partial export. The industry also developed rapidly at that time. North Korea and Japan were considered the two largest industrial countries in Asia, and were considered to have completed modern industrialization since 1979. Per capita GDP reached $2,400 US, much higher than Vietnam. Even in 1990, Vietnam's per capita GDP was only $122 US. However, in later times, North Korea encountered increasing economic difficulties. During the Sino-Soviet conflict, due to opposing the revisionism of some Soviet leaders, and the perception that China was a close neighbor. Aligning with China would be more beneficial than with the Soviet Union, so North Korea firmly sided with China, later even helping China and the Khmer Rouge against the Soviet Union and Vietnam. After that diplomatic shift, North Korea lost relations with Vietnam, Laos, Cuba, and relations with the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe were severely affected. The economic reforms of Deng Xiaoping's party in China after 1979 also led to indifference towards North Korea, as each country prioritizes its own interests. Economic and military embargoes led by the United States, self-isolation policies, diplomatic setbacks, and the collapse of the Soviet Union from 1989 to 1991. All these phenomena pushed North Korea into isolation, compounded by natural disasters like storms and floods, causing additional economic hardships. North Koreans call this period the arduous march. Although having a very small foreign trade scale, currently, North Korea still maintains trade relations with various countries. Total trade volume in 2021 was only $710 million, much lower than the $7.6 billion in 2014. The main reason is China's zero-COVID policy, as 90% of foreign trade transactions involve China. The country with the world's most mysterious capital. Pyongyang is a city located in western North Korea along both banks of the Taedong River. This is the capital and also the largest city of the country. It has an area of about 3,194 square kilometers, spreading across a vast plain, extending eastward to the Korea Bay. Pyongyang is located only 145 kilometers from the DMZ and 198 kilometers north of Seoul, South Korea's capital, as the crow flies. This is one of the oldest cities on the Korean peninsula and was the capital of two ancient kingdoms on the peninsula. Gojoseon from the 15th century BC to 508 BC and Goguryeo from 537 BC to 668 AD. Currently, Pyongyang serves as the political, economic, cultural, educational, tourism, heritage, and transportation center of North Korea. It is also the location of headquarters for political, educational, military organizations, and major government agencies of the country. The city has scientific planning with many flower gardens, parks, and entertainment centers. Transportation is built with 6 wide lanes, spacious sidewalks, and dedicated bicycle lanes. The Pyongyang Metro is one of the largest subway systems in North Korea, with an estimated daily passenger volume of 300,000 to 700,000 people. Its construction began in 1965, and the architecture is influenced by the Russian subway system with exquisitely carved stone pillars. It is also one of the deepest subway systems in the world. North Korea claims its lines are at a depth of over 110 meters underground, taking 3.5 minutes to reach the platform level from the surface by escalator, and maintaining a constant temperature of 18 degrees Celsius year-round. As of now, Pyongyang's population is approximately 3,157,000 people. However, economic statistics for this capital remain a mystery with no precise figures. Many sources believe Pyongyang does not truly reflect the quality of life and development situation in North Korea, because it is used by the government to promote to tourists and show the world that the country is not as poor as rumors suggest. That is also why Pyongyang is one of the few locations tourists are allowed to visit when coming to North Korea. Especially when coming here, you are not allowed to use North Korea's national currency, namely the won, but instead use other foreign currencies such as dollars, euros, and yuan. The country possesses the world's most uniquely designed abandoned high-rise building. Rugang Hotel is an unfinished pyramid-shaped skyscraper in Pyongyang, Hotel of the Apocalypse. It began construction in 1987 as a product of Cold War competition between US-supported South Korea and Soviet-backed North Korea. The project aimed to be the world's tallest hotel, standing 330 meters tall, equivalent to the second tallest building in Vietnam currently, Kyeongnam Landmark 72 Hanoi. It includes at least 3,000 rooms, along with 5 restaurants, with a unique pyramid architectural style. North Korea's purpose was simply to show the world and South Korea how economically potent and powerful their country is. But constructing this massive project was difficult for any country in the 1980s, whether in terms of funding or technical expertise, it was not simple. At the same time, Pyongyang had to spend a huge budget hosting the World Festival of Youth and Students, equivalent to 2% of the country's GDP. This added further burden to the country's already weak economy, coupled with the collapse of the Soviet Union, causing North Korea to lose crucial investment aid and fall into economic crisis. By 1992, although the external structure of Rugang Hotel was completed, construction was forced to halt due to technical and financial issues. Then in April 2008, after 16 years of inactivity, building construction resumed by the Egyptian construction company Orascom Group. In 2011, the glass curtain wall of Rugang Hotel was completed, creating a magnificent exterior. North Korea then turned the building into the city's most prominent light display location. But the hotel ultimately could not open to receive tourists, due to disagreements between foreign investors and North Korean authorities, so they only completed the hotel's exterior and abandoned interior construction. Because of this, until now, this giant tower remains abandoned with no signs of opening. Many believe Rugang Hotel may never be completed, as it is merely one of North Korea's baits for foreign investors. The country has the 4th largest standing army in the world. KPA is the military force of North Korea and the armed wing of the Workers' Party of Korea. According to 2023 global firepower data, North Korea ranks 34th militarily globally, and 4th in number of active troops with 1.2 million soldiers, while the country's population is only about 26 million. KPA comprises 5 branches: Army, Navy, Air Force, Strategic Rocket Force, and Special Operations Force. Among these, the Army is the main force of North Korea's military with about 850,000 troops, equipped mainly with domestically produced or imported equipment from the former Soviet Union and China. However, North Korea's military strength still faces many limitations, as their army lacks modern equipment and has little combat experience in modern environments. According to U.S. State Department estimates, although still one of the world's poorest countries, North Korea spends nearly a quarter of its GDP annually on the military. But according to Global Firepower, North Korea's military budget for fiscal year 2023 is $5 billion, approximately nearly 20% of GDP. But that is not what worries the world most, as North Korea is also known for its dangerous missile and nuclear weapon development programs. The exact scale and strength of North Korea's nuclear arsenal remains a mystery, but analysts believe Pyongyang has conducted 6 nuclear tests and developed ballistic missiles capable of reaching the US, Japan, and South Korea. North Korea also possesses the know-how to produce nuclear warheads using uranium or plutonium, U.S. intelligence officials estimate. North Korea currently has 40 to 50 warheads, and they are also believed to have successfully manufactured hydrogen bombs, biological and chemical weapons. That is why, despite not having a strong economy, this country remains a formidable opponent in the region and the world. Runggrado 1st of May Stadium, or Runggrado May Day Stadium in Pyongyang capital, is the world's largest stadium, with a main field area of 22,500 square meters, floor area of 207,000 square meters, capable of holding up to 150,000 people. Similar to Rugang Hotel, after the 1988 Summer Olympics were awarded to Seoul, North Korea successfully won the bid to host the 13th World Festival of Youth and Students in Pyongyang in 1989. Major construction projects were launched to prepare for the festival, one of which was Runggrado May Day Stadium. Besides sporting events, this stadium is also regularly used for large performances and programs commemorating leader Kim Il-sung and the country. According to local authorities, on April 28 to 29, 1995, Collision in Korea, the largest paid attendance professional wrestling event ever, was held at this stadium, attracting audiences of 150,000 and 190,000 people respectively. In July 2017, Runggrado May Day Stadium also hosted 6 group stage matches as part of the 2018 AFC U23 Championship qualifiers. During the September 2018 Inter-Korean Summit in Pyongyang, South Korean President Moon Jae-in gave a speech with Chairman Kim Jong Un to 150,000 North Korean spectators at this stadium. The country does not allow its citizens to connect to the global internet. Many wonder whether a mysterious country like North Korea uses the internet or not. Actually, the internet here still operates normally, but in their own special way. Most North Korean citizens do not have internet access, but in fact, in 2008, North Korea officially provided internet access to its people. At that time, many countries hoped for greater openness from this country, but things did not turn out that way. Most North Korean citizens can only access an internal intranet, called Kwangmyeong. It is completely disconnected from the outside world, so people cannot access international websites. North Korean engineers also created automatic content tagging software, controlling multimedia files opened on computers and phones. If the user opens music, images, or videos of foreign origin, the software will mark and track the device. Especially, anyone who views illegal content such as pornography or content criticizing the supreme leader's family must face the death penalty. Additionally, North Korean citizens are also allowed to use mobile phones, but smartphones here are usually imported from China, then labeled with North Korean brands. Most of them are cheap Android devices, equipped with user tracking software and some state-provided services. North Korean citizens can purchase smuggled, jailbroken smartphones via the Chinese border to access the international internet, but if caught, they will be arrested and severely punished. A country where 80% of the area is mountainous. Currently, North Korea has an area of 120,538 square kilometers, equivalent to about 1/3 of Vietnam's area, and ranks 98th in the world in terms of territorial size. About 80% of North Korea's territory consists of hills, mountains, and plateaus. They are concentrated in the center, running along the north-south direction, and are heavily dissected by narrow, deep valleys. Among them, Mount Paektu, also known as Cheongbai, is the country's highest point with an elevation of 2,744 meters above sea level. This is a stratovolcano located on the border of North Korea and China. It is also considered the most sacred mountain of the country, the birthplace of historical heroes, and the ancestral home of the Korean people. The country of North Korea is a complete area to fully teach simultaneously for the Vietnamese, just as the Vietnamese regard Phu Tho as their ancestral land. Not only a sacred mountain range, Cheongbai is also an area possessing magnificent natural landscapes with snow-capped peaks appearing mysteriously in the misty clouds. Especially on the summit of this mountain range, there is a caldera with a diameter of 5 kilometers called Heaven Lake. It has a surface area of 9.82 square kilometers and a recorded maximum depth of 384 meters. Due to its high altitude, the lake water often freezes in winter, and almost no animal species can live here. If Cheongbai is the most sacred mountain range of the nation, then the Diamond Mountains, also known as Kumgang, are the premier scenic spot in North Korea. This mountainous area gathers hundreds of beautiful scenes that have been the subject of many artistic works over thousands of years of history. The Diamond Mountains have an average height of about 1,600 meters and a width of 40 kilometers. Along the mountain range, there are many jagged cliffs, deep lakes, and beautiful waterfalls covered by coniferous forests and over 100 ancient temples. The rock in the Diamond Mountains is large, solid granite. It appears as large cylindrical blocks, neatly arranged, creating a unique landscape unmatched elsewhere. Tourists can explore the beautiful Diamond Mountains through hiking trails. Among them, the route passing Koryong Falls is the most popular path, not only because the trail is relatively flat but also due to the irresistible attraction of this majestic waterfall with an impressive height of 74 meters. Koryong Falls divides into 9 streams flowing down the mountainside, resembling 9 dragons frolicking in the water. Due to the year-round flow of the waterfall, a deep pool has formed at the base. Legend says 9 dragons once resided here, so it is called the 9-Dragon Pool. Additionally, thanks to its location near the eastern border of North Korea and South Korea, starting in 1998, North Korea allowed South Korean tourists and those from some other countries to visit the Diamond Mountains. Subsequently, South Korea began building many infrastructure facilities around this mountain area, managed by the authorities of both North and South Korea. This was once a symbol of inter-Korean reconciliation aimed at promoting tourism between the two regions and providing an important source of foreign currency for North Korea. At that time, the Diamond Mountains were also the only place where separated families could briefly reunite. However, in July 2008, South Korea suspended inter-Korean tourism at the Diamond Mountains after a South Korean tourist was shot dead by North Korean soldiers for entering a military zone. In August 2008, North Korea also announced it would expel unnecessary South Korean workers from the resort. Since then until now, inter-Korean tourism has not resumed. According to some sources, the North Korean government plans to replace all infrastructure at the Diamond Mountains built by South Korea since the 1990s and take over management of these resorts without South Korea's permission. A country that does not allow its citizens to own cars. North Korea is currently one of the countries with the lowest number of cars per capita in the world. Although the government does not officially announce figures, it is estimated that only about 30,000 cars are in circulation in this country of 26 million people. Strict regulations on car ownership as well as high prices make it difficult for citizens to purchase personal vehicles. Before 2017, owning a car in North Korea was almost impossible, although the country has had an automotive industry since the 1950s. The law did not allow individuals to own cars, except in special cases such as state officials. Since 2017, North Korea began allowing citizens to buy cars and own them as personal vehicles. However, registration and purchasing still face many difficulties due to complex approval procedures. After registration, car users must pay various other fees, such as circulation fees. To date, North Korea is still under sanctions, so many car manufacturers are not allowed to sell cars there. Restricted internet also makes it difficult for people to search for car information. The cars in North Korea are mainly old models, unattractive in design, with only some luxury models for state agencies. Since direct sales are not possible, cars entering the North Korean market usually have to go through third-party companies, meaning they are purchased via foreign dealers before arriving in the country. Additionally, those who own and use a car in North Korea face difficulties in purchasing fuel. Gasoline and diesel are the two most common fuels in North Korea, but they are distributed under government supervision, which controls fuel distribution and limits monthly usage amounts. Another interesting fact is that in 1974, the Swedish automotive company Volvo, in an effort to expand its global influence through new markets, reached an agreement and delivered a shipment of Volvo 144 cars. This durable and reliable model from the brand was sold to North Korea. However, later information revealed that North Korea never paid for the aforementioned transaction to Sweden and Volvo, even after 49 years have passed. Invoices have been continuously sent by the Swedish government to North Korea, but are always ignored. The total loss, calculated at current prices, including interest and other taxes, has now reached approximately $329 million. But Volvo is not the party bearing the loss, as the entire shipment was paid for by the Swedish government. And among the approximately 30,000 cars in circulation, there are still some of these free Volvos somewhere. The only country in the world to have captured a U.S. Navy ship. USS Pueblo is a U.S. Navy intelligence ship built in 1944 and used for intelligence gathering. It also monitors the military activities of allies and rivals. The ship is approximately 53.6 meters long and has a displacement of 895 tons. On January 23, 1968, when the USS Pueblo with 83 crew members was conducting reconnaissance off the coast of Wonsan Military Port, North Korea's largest logistics base. It was approached by a North Korean submarine and 3 torpedo boats, demanding it stop for inspection on the grounds that the ship had violated their territorial waters, 7.6 nautical miles, about 14 kilometers, from Rio Island. However, the ship's captain refused and attempted to retreat. The North Korean side immediately used cannons and machine guns to attack. Due to lack of preparation and slow speed, the American ship struggled to counterattack and escape. Within just 1 hour, 1 American sailor was killed and the rest surrendered. This capture angered the United States, but due to lack of information about the detention location, a rescue operation could not be conducted. President Lyndon Johnson also had to avoid triggering a second Korean War because the US was bogged down in the costly war in Vietnam. And the domestic anti-war movement was spreading due to the war consuming significant budget and soldiers' lives. Washington officials at the time were very frustrated and considered this the most embarrassing incident for the US Navy, a force with over 150 years of tradition that had never lost a ship. 11 months after the capture, the US and North Korea reached an agreement to resolve the crisis. The United States admitted that the ship had violated North Korean territory, apologized, and pledged not to repeat similar actions. The 82 American sailors were then escorted across the Bridge of No Return to South Korea and returned home just in time for Christmas 1968. However, after being released, they denied violating North Korean territory and accused the authorities of torturing them to force confessions. Subsequently, the United States demanded that North Korea return the USS Pueblo along with all equipment and documents on board. But North Korea refused and declared that the ship would become part of their navy. In 2013, the ship was renovated and became part of a war museum in Pyongyang. It is seen as a symbol of US failure against North Korea, and is also the only US Navy ship captured by a foreign nation. This incident caused tension and controversy between the two countries for many years, and remains a sensitive issue in US-North Korea relations to this day. That is some interesting information about North Korea, the world's most mysterious country. If you want to learn more about this country in future parts, please leave comments below the video. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.